What's up, internet? We are here with a New Year's loot video for the end of the year, except I'm actually recording this January 3rd. I'm really behind. I'm sorry. Now, it being the end of the year, there's not a lot of money going around. I mean, there's not a lot of money going around in my life anyway, but there's just not a ton of money going around, so I don't have a lot to show you this time, at least comparatively. But I did find a few good deals, so we're going to take a look into them. Side note, if you do want to help so that I can continue to do this, support the Patreon so that I can actually, afford games. That's nice. Anyway, first thing I got, I think, since I got them all at the same place, we're going to do books first, just because they're a bit bigger and I could use the screen space. So I found this at my local Goodwill in a manga section. Like, I have no idea. It was in a manga section. But I saw this and said, yeah, I need that for $1. We have a Guilty Gear drafting art book. I don't know why this was in a manga section. I have no idea what this costs. My buddy Caleb was over the other day. I asked him because I figured he might know. He says he's never seen one of these and it's probably worth a lot, but let's just flip to a page. Like, you got all sorts of crazy Guilty Gear characters. I don't know a lot about Guilty Gear. I started playing it this year a little bit on the PS4, and I'm really kind of into it. Oh yeah, this is the perfect page. This is the lady I like, by Ken, I believe. Yeah, so you've got all of the Guilty Gear X characters. You've got, like, I think there's like, how many pages are in here? There's like almost 300 pages. I don't know what this is. I've been told it probably costs a lot. I paid $1 for it. I'm very happy to have this. I think it's really cool, and I'm thinking maybe I'll review this one day just because it'll be something different. It does have a Goodwill sticker on it that I'm not going to take off because I think it'll hurt the thing, but otherwise it's pretty much pristine. Okay, next I'm going to hold the cover of this because I want to see if you can figure out what this is based on the picture. It's a novel. And when you look at this cover, it is the most weird, generic, abstract thing ever. Until you kind of realize what it is, and then it kind of makes sense. This is Super Mario Bros. 2. This is apparently just a book on the localization of Yumikojo Doki Doki Panic, as we got it as Mario Bros. 2. A game a lot of people like to dump on because it's not Mario, except it was designed as prototype stuff for Mario, so stop dumping on Mario Bros. 2. It's a perfectly fine game. But I'm really fascinated in how a Fuji TV sponsored thing kind of became a Mario test bed that kind of became Mario in the West. So I picked this up. It was $1. And, it's always nice to have something more to read. Next we have something else I found in the manga section. This was on a different trip. And this is very much video game inclusive. We have something I didn't think was a thing, but it is. Splatoon, the manga. Because Splatoon manga, it's weird. I've only read it for like the first chapter, which where is it there? Features a completely naked Inkling. Because Splatoon, that's wholesome and family, right? that was about 50 cents. It says $1.75, but I got it like one of those half price days. This last one is whoopsie. As I hit the camera, I apologize for that. This is kind of a little bit of a big book though. This was weird. I found this in the gaming section. Now, the gaming section of my Goodwill's book section is pretty much entirely about, like, poker. So, finding anything gaming related is, well, evidently something you find in the manga section for reasons I don't understand. But this I found in the gaming section, and it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, this is the shot I saw. Let's see if I can get it. There. That's what drew me in. Like, just a kid in an army helmet. Okay, so I pulled it out just out of curiosity. It's a kid holding a katana on top of a giant severed robot head. This is a weird book. This is, when I first looked at it, and I looked at it, and I skimmed a few pages. Let's see if I can get to one specifically. Yeah, this will do nicely. I thought, this is just an art book. That's what it is. But in actuality, what this is it's actually a manga compilation / art book. It's really weird. There's some like really nice art, really high color stuff. I saw some really nice pictures. It would have been nice if I bookmarked them, but I did not. But this is interesting because this is basically a compilation of manga from Korea. And apparently, like, there's lots of game design stuff in here. Like, a lot of these people went and designed game characters and stuff, which kind of explains why I at least sort of vaguely recognize some of this stuff. But I think it kind of fails both as an art book and as a compilation of a manga, because all the manga chapters are like chapter 2, which is well after everything's been established but we're not privy to, but right before things get going. So it feels like you don't get the best parts. You get the worst of both worlds out of every chapter of manga in here. And it sucks because there's some legitimately really fascinating stuff in this book. And then it fails as an art book because like maybe 10% of this is actually art book stuff and the rest of it's just manga. It sucks, but apparently this is a volume 2, as I don't look at the viewfinder. So I'm going to try and find the volume 1 of this, because I'm genuinely interested in what this is, because I think it's very, very cool. I have nothing else. It's a kind of a neat coffee table book that I got for $1. Okay, now we're going to get into games, and we're going to make a callback to last episode. If you'll recall, last episode there was this eBay seller I found that had a bunch of games I bought. It was very, very nice. And they had one game that I really, really wanted, and I lost 3 times, and I was sad. Well, I put that game on my watch list, and I saw someone had put it up at a fair price. It was cheaper than the other seller was putting it at, and it didn't have the insane, well, it didn't have as insane shipping. Excuse me. And, you know, I didn't have money for it, so I was just, I didn't want to buy it because I didn't have money, so I was like, oh, but I want it, but I don't, but I want it, but this is kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime price. I was just sort of looking through their other stuff, and I saw one other game they had that was at a really good price. It was a Saturn game, spoilers, and it wasn't in, like, the rare tier of Saturn games, but it was, like, in that mid-rare tier where it was, like, just a little bit before $100, but not as expensive as, say, like, Tri-Rush Deppy or Tempo or any of that nonsense. Bulk Slash, oh, I want Bulk Slash and Hyper Duel, oh, those are so expensive. But you know, I didn't have money, so what I said was, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna contact them, ask them if they'll do a bundle deal. They'll ignore me, and then at least I can move on with my life knowing that I tried in some half-assed capacity, just to make myself feel a little better. Like, yeah, I let this slip through my hands, but you know, I put in effort. And to their credit, when I sent them a message, I just said, hey, it's Christmas, there's not a lot of money going around, would you be willing to do a bundle deal? They got back to me super quick and said yes. I didn't exactly plan for that. So I told them which games I wanted, and they said, okay, well, here's what we'll do. We'll take the total value of these games, subtract $10. That's, you know, that's not a huge discount, but it's definitely a modest one. I definitely appreciate it. And then we'll combine shipping. And then, oh yeah, we'll give you free shipping. So it went from a total purchase, I think, of something like $150, if that's probably being really generous, but it cut it down by $10 and then cut down the total purchase to something like $30, $40. It was totally affordable. And it's like, well, I don't have the money, but I can't say no to that, so I gotta go for it. So we're gonna go with the game I really wanted last time that I failed to get. We have Nanatsukaze no Shima Monogatari. And I've heard this name translated a few different ways. I've heard it translated to like the Village of Summer Fantasy or the Village of Four Winds Fantasy. What this is, and I haven't played it myself, but I've seen a little bit of it. It's kind of like a cross between one of those old 2D cinematic step platformers like Prince of Persia or Another World or Flashback, and you combine that with sort of an old school PC point-and-click adventure. And how I learned about this game was, I don't spend a lot of time watching videos, I don't have the time, but when I do for research, I tend to look up like those 100 games in 10 minutes videos, and these are always on that for the Saturn, and it's always on like the best import lists. So I thought, oh, I gotta get this at some point. So I have it, and now that it's a new year, I might actually have time to play it, which is nice. I'm very much looking forward to this, so that's fun. And the other thing I got, this one is a lot more expensive and rare. We have Shadows of the Tusk, which is sort of like a strategy RPG meets kind of like a chess game, basically. I first heard about this game, I think on Alpha Omega Sin's video about import Saturn games, and it was the only time I'd ever heard about this game. But it's basically chess meets, you know, more of an RPG version of chess, basically. And what's interesting is, even though this game is entirely in Japanese, if I can focus on that, come on, autofocus, I know you can do it. The entire menu stuff, as you can see over here, if it will actually focus, is in English. So you can play this entirely in English, which is really, really cool. Now, what is weird about this, I was actually talking about this game on an Animal Crossing stream I did, and one of my viewers actually brought up that they had a copy of this too, and as you can see, it's like a super thick case. Well, that's because the other portion of this actually contained a card game. Now, my version does not have the card game, but I also got it at a huge discount, so I think that's okay. But still, that's pretty cool to hear. I kind of thought that was a neat idea. Okay, now these next two games I got from the same person at the same time. I don't recall if they were a bundle, but I bought them together. We have two Game Boy multi-carts. And despite the fact that they both claim to have 108 games on them, and they have completely different box art, and one of them is upside down for bonus points. Yeah. They have 4 games on them, and I'm pretty sure they share like 3 of those 4 games, and they're not very good. But I paid less than a standard multi-cart in price for these, so I'm not overly hurt by that. I'm not thrilled by it, but it could have been a lot worse. Okay, this I bought kind of the moment I heard about it. I kind of got obsessed with it. We have Outward on the Xbox One. This is the, as I pointed on the viewfinder, it's the PEGI symbol. This is a European copy, and I got the European copy because instead of paying $80, this one cost $20. It was a no-brainer, really. But yeah, Outward. It's kind of a neat open-world RPG. I think it was made by something like 4 guys, and it's certainly a little bit wonky and janky in places, but I think it's a really, really fun game. However, what really makes me angry is it's a very short game, and they kind of have a new game plus in a really, really sort of backwards-ass way. In that basically your first character goes like across this entire area, the entire world, finds 4 chests. Each chest can hold 1 item. Your new character can then find those chests and take those items out. And the neat thing is a lot of those items will morph into some sort of enhanced version. I don't know if... I just got a thing on my camera once again telling me that, oh no, something stopped, so I don't know how much this has jumped around, I apologize. But yeah. Basically, New Game Plus involves your character hunting down 4 chests to find 4 items you left behind, and there's more than 4 things I want to save. Now, the nice thing is, you can just take one character and play multiplayer with yourself to trade items between it and get through that no problem, although you won't have morphed items or anything, which it's fine. But the problem is you need a second Xbox Live account for that, and I don't have one of those. So alas, my awesome, like, super armor and my lightning chimera tail sword are not transferable unless I want to skip something else transferring, and I want to transfer everything. Seriously, just make a better New Game Plus version. It's also weird because, like, the story is, like, I think something like 10 quests, and 2 of them will ultimately completely screw you out of your home and all your stuff. And one of them's right at the start, too, mind you. I think I screwed that up when I first recorded the game, too. It's weird and unforgiving, but it's a neat concept, kind of combining Skyrim with some survival elements, although it's very, very janky. Okay, next we have some games I picked up at the Goodwill, starting with Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I'm not that familiar with the Warhammer series. I played Space Hulk on, I think, the Saturn back in the day, and I had a lot of fun with that. That was like a first-person sort of turn-based sort of thing. It was neat, but this is more like a third-person shooter type thing. I've heard this game is really, really good. I have not had the time to actually play it yet as I play with my camera because I cannot seem to manually autofocus. Something's about to happen. I apologize. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know why, but it decided to do some weird stuff that wouldn't let me autofocus. But yeah, running around as Space Marines. If you know the Warhammer universe, you probably know more about this than I do, but yeah, I've been told it's a pretty good game. I'm looking forward to it. It didn't cost me very much, which is nice. Next we have Driv 3er, a game that would have absolutely made my poop of the year list, except upon recording, the disc self-destructed. Just out of shame, it would not allow me to read it on my PS2 anymore, so unfortunately, we cannot make fun of Driv 3er beyond using it as a Drink Coast 3er, but still, it's I think a pretty weak game. I know some people defend it. I know there's a lot of controversy around when this first came out. I don't care about that. It's just a really subpar driving shooty game, and yeah, and it doesn't work, so that's not giving it brownie points. I bought this at the same time we have Headhunter. I have no idea what this game is. Waking from a coma, Jack Wade's past is about to catch up with him. That is, if he lives long enough. It looks like some kind of third-person shooter, a little bit like open world nonsense, kind of a spy thriller thing. Sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to give this one a shot. But I don't know much about it. That's kind of why I picked it up. It was like $1 and I'd never heard of it. Alright, next we have the God of War collection on the PS3. It's only God of War 1 and 2, does not contain the third one, and apparently there's a second God of War PS3 collection. So, yeah, I guess I need to buy 2 more games to get the full PS3 God of War experience, but, well, at least we got the E3 2009 demo. Yeah. This cost about $5, although it's half that, so yeah, about $5. But it's a combination of good old, more Rising Zan Samurai Gunman by way of Greek mythology, I guess. I don't have a ton of interest in God of War, but, you know, now I can at least start it, so I can at least, you know, develop a little bit of one. Okay, so the next thing I've got was, I was at a mall and I went to the local GameStop, and I always swing by and check their bargain bins just to see, you know, if they've got anything interesting in their used stuff. And I saw an interesting sign. Buy one, get 4 free. At that price, even without money, I kind of had to jump on it. So I was scouring their bin and said, okay, if I see something interesting, I'm gonna go in on this. And boom, we found Venetica. This is one of the few RPGs I still need for the Xbox 360. It takes place in Venice, hence the name. I actually, when I first heard this name, I thought it was a sequel to the PS2 racing game Kinetica. I was very wrong. But I want to collect all the Xbox 360 RPGs. I think I'm missing 2 or 3. The big one right now is Magna Carta 2. Unfortunately, yeah, for some reason they decided to completely remove all the cases, and now they've just wrapped it in the box art, which in this case is just their shitty generic Xbox GameStop one. It sucks, but you know, at least give us some kind of discount if we're not going to get the box. Next we have Damnation. I've seen this once or twice. It looked interesting. It was sort of like a steampunky sort of cowboy third-person shooter, kind of like an Uncharted sort of thing. It looked very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot when I get a chance. Next we have The Saboteur. I always get this game confused with Syndicate because both are remakes of older games. Although this one's supposed to be really, really good, whereas Syndicate was not. When I picked this up, the guy behind the counter got really, really excited about seeing this, so I'm thinking about reviewing this pretty soon. But it's kind of got this neat thing where if you're in like a controlled chunk of the map, everything's like all sepia and grayscale and sad, and when you free an area, suddenly it gets all colorful. And I like visual stuff like that. I think it's very, very cool. Next we have a game I have way too much fun with. Alpha Protocol, a tactical espionage RPG. Every time I think of this game, I keep thinking of Binary Domain, and I have no idea why. That's another game I gotta get at some point. But this is an RPG spy thriller kind of, well, it's more of a third-person shooter, but it's got RPG, like BioWare, you know, Mass Effect dialogue trees and stuff. And it actually makes some interesting callbacks. Like, there's a bunch of chapters you can go out of order with, and in one chapter, I really pissed this guy off, and in the next chapter, it was this lady, actually. I ran into her, and she's like, oh, you made that guy angry? I like you. Let's be best friends. So, it's interesting. It's a little generic, and it has the worst, like, New Game Plus this side of Outward, in that basically when you start, you can pick your career choice, and those basically give you starting bonuses towards certain skills. And then there's like a recruit career path, which gives you nothing, but if you beat the game with it, you unlock a veteran class, which gives you like a huge boost to everything else. That sounds good, but it's also kind of sad because there's some really neat weapons you unlock as trophies. Like the first one you get is for sneaking up on this big guy on a bridge, and if you successfully do it, you shove him in front of the like passing car underneath, and then you get like a solid gold AK-47. There's tons of weapons like that. They don't carry over. That's the one thing I want. I want like equipment carrying over. If we got that, that would have been like the perfect New Game Plus. That doesn't happen. There really isn't a New Game Plus other than like veteran mode, so that sucks. And I'm running out of memory card space, so next we have the final thing in that bundle. We got King of Fighters 12. 12? I know there was one really good King of Fighters game on the Xbox 360 and one really bad one. I rolled the dice, and this is of course the bad one, but what can you do? I'm not super big into King of Fighters. I like Garou, Mark of the Wolves well enough, but I'm not the biggest King of Fighters fan, but I'm kind of in a fighting game mood, so I wanted to grab it. Anyway, I am running out of memory card space, so I will clear that and we will be back as soon as I can. Okay, so I've selected my games from the bargain bin, and I actually had some other shopping to do, so I kind of tucked them under a little flap in the display so you couldn't see them, so I could come back and pick them up when I had everything else done. But I still wanted to look around GameStop just to see if there was anything else of interest there. They had a couple Gundam figures, mostly like small candy toys that were probably way too overpriced. But I saw something interesting behind the counter. Like there was like a big stack of these little boxes, and I was just confused as to what I saw because it was just one of the most bizarrely anachronistic things ever. I believe an archaeologist would refer to it as an opart, or an out-of-place artifact. I started talking to the guy behind the counter about what those were and how they were there, and he just said, yeah, you know, someone down at corporate found a box in a warehouse that just had these, and I guess we're now selling them. And there was a lot of them. And they were like $20 each, brand new, and I was like, well, I kind of want that, but man, that's when you don't have money, $20 is a lot of money. So I walked around, I did my shopping, I ummed and awed about it, and then I came back, picked up my games there, and you know, I kind of ran it through my head that several of the ones that I saw behind the counter, they'd been remade and remade better, but there was one that wasn't. So when I took my stack of little, you know, sandwiched games behind their really crappy box art, I said to them, all right, you sold me. Give me that brand new copy of Chrono Cross. I have no idea or words as to why this exists, but apparently they just found a box of Chrono Cross and all of the PS1 Final Fantasies, brand new, and are just charging 20 bucks for them. But like I said, pretty much all the Final Fantasy games that are worth owning are remade on the Game Boy Advance and better, with the exception of 7, 8, and 9, and I don't really care for many of those, plus I already own 9. This one was never remade, so this was kind of important that I have this. I don't want to take it out of its plastic wrap, but I've got it, and I think it's very cool to have a copy of Chrono Cross. Someday I'll get a copy of Chrono Trigger, and it'll be great. But that is very weird, and I'm very excited that I have that. I guess if I wanted to be a cynical jerk, I could have just like turned around and sold it on eBay, because I know that game like opened costs a lot of money, but I'm gonna hold on to that. Now, like I said, there was the 1+4 extra deal going on for used games at GameStop, and there was another one on my way home, so I decided to stop by there, and I wanted to see if we could find anything else of interest. And you know, I'm not sure I found anything particularly of interest, but you know, it was cheap enough that I kind of went for it anyway. We have Battle Fantasia, an Axis. I keep confusing Axis with Arc System Works, but it's a fighting game on the Xbox 360 featuring all these fantasy characters, and it's kind of like a 3D fighting game. If I recall, there's like a character that has like a special move that does like 9 million damage, and it's just ridiculous, but it's by the guys who made Guilty Gear, so that's kind of cool, and I'm pretty excited to play this, even though I'm awful at fighting games. Now, that was the game I bought, so now I've got 4 free, and I kind of scrounged through the bin. The first one that jumped out at me was Time Shift by Sierra. I believe it, yeah, it's by Sierra, which makes me think there's going to be a lot of really bad deaths, and me cursing Roberta Williams to hell and back about this, but I always got this game confused with Singularity, so I'm really confused as to what this game actually is, but I like Singularity, and it was $4, and I got it for free, so why not? Next we have Resistance 2. I don't have a lot of interest in this, but it's sort of a touchstone for me, because as I said, one of the first games I ever played on I watched someone play on the PS3 was, what was it, Blade Storm? Well, after we played the demo to Bladestorm, my buddy who had a PS3 at the time, which really blew my mind, he also had this. So I watched him pretty much play this game from start to literally the last room of the final level, but not the actual finishing of the game. So I'm interested to give this one a shot. I know there was a zombie level that freaked me out because that was back when I absolutely hated zombies, so I'm hoping to get over that. Okay, this next one I picked up because I'd never heard of it. This is Power Up Heroes. And, you know, I screwed up with this, although it's not my fault, because how would you be able to tell? There's a giant freaking GameStop sticker in front of it, but it's a Kinect game. That's why I've never heard of this game. I don't own a Kinect, so I've got a drink coaster, I guess. Kind of sucks. I could have picked something else. Now, the last game I picked, there's a little bit of stuff that went on with this. We have BlazBlue Continuum Shift EX. I went to the bin and I saw 3 different BlazBlue games. I saw BlazBlue Continuum Shift EX, BlazBlue Continuum Shift, and BlazBlue Calamity Trigger. Now, one of these games was the first BlazBlue game I ever played, and it was the game that introduced me back into fighting games since 1996. And I really enjoyed it because it had a beginner mode, which let you use special abilities, which was something I never had the ability to do because I couldn't do any like the complex quarter circle stuff. But I had trouble figuring out which one I wanted. This was the one I wanted. This is the one I got, obviously. But I sat there and I had all 3 in my hand, and it was like, okay, I own one of these on the PS3. One of these is, like, the other 2 I don't own, and I'm not sure if one of these is the next one in the series or what. So I took these up to the clerk behind the counter and I asked, okay, so which BlazBlue game came first? Because I'm pretty sure the first one had a subtitle and not a number, and that it was also very true. He had no idea. So I took a gamble, got Continuum Shift EX because I figured, well, there's Continuum Shift in the bin. This is going to be a better version of it, and it was. It turns out Calamity Trigger, the other one in the bin, that one was the first one, and Continuum Shift was the game I already owned. So I did pick the most recent iteration, so yay for me. I like BlazBlue. Okay, that's everything from there. Next we have Christmas stuff, I guess. Before we go into Christmas stuff, though, I do have one other goofy little thing I can show off. I did a video on this, but we got my little terrible Kirby Star Ally figure that makes me very sad. I wanted the original Kirby, but it was $1. I got this while I was waiting for someone for Christmas shopping, so I figured, you know, it was a video I could make, and I did, and it wasn't very good. Now, this Christmas, I didn't think would happen. Last Christmas we skipped it entirely because we just have 0 money in my household, and this year was pretty similar, but we ended up having a Christmas anyway, although we didn't have anything that I would really consider fun. It was more like, you know, you're getting necessities, you're getting blankets, you're getting pillows, what have you. And, you know, that's fine, but my brother went out and did actually get me something pretty fun, as my cat's about to jump off the window, and he normally makes a lot of noise. He was being really quiet. Good for you, Mr. Cat. You're being super thoughtful for once. But this was the one really fun thing I got. I got the Gundam Babs. This is like the 3rd Barbatos I own. This is from the Gundam Universe line. Not the biggest Barbatos fan, honestly, but it's nice. It's a little weird, though, because it feels like some of the parts on it don't fit right. Like, I had to put this skirt on, and the holes on it were too small for the pegs. And to get that sword in the hand, I actually had to shove it through the hand and, like, feel the hand flex underneath it. Like, it just... This thing does not feel like it was really, like... It felt like it was going to fall apart if I actually tried to put it together. It was weird. The other thing worth noting about this is it has some really bizarre proportions. Height-wise, it's about the size of a standard high-grade 1/144 scale. I know that because I own 3 Barbatoses. Again, even though I'm not a big fan of it. But it has, like, the width of the head of, like, a master grade. Like, it doesn't feel like it's actually, like, in proper scale to anything. But I do appreciate, like, how thick that head is, because it sort of has a nice sort of visual to it. Don't care so much for the giant shoulders, but that was a problem with the standard version. It doesn't quite have the articulation or anything of the standard model kits or anything, and of course, it comes with 2 sets of hands, but they're both closed hands, so you can't really pose it properly. But I still think it's pretty neat. And of course, the Gundam Universe line also apparently has a Death Scythe and a Wing Gundam, my 2 favorite Gundams of all time. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for them. So we're now at the very, very tail end of this, but we're not quite done just yet because we have a very long story. So grab some popcorn, kiddos. It's going to be a while. This is the story about how I'm the dumbest human being on the face of the earth. As any good story starts, it starts with a tragedy. Just before Christmas, my grandmother had a car accident and she was in the hospital. She's getting better now. She had to have some surgery, get a pacemaker put in place. But she's getting better. She's recovering at home, which is great. But Boxing Day, we were gonna go, make sure she was okay because it was her first day out of hospital and stuff. But we had to. My mom, who wanted to go with me, she wanted to go shopping. I don't know why you would. And I had something I had to return. I had a house coat that just didn't fit me, and I thought I was going to get another one from someone else. It turns out I didn't. That was another story about me being the biggest idiot ever, but that's neither here nor there. So this is my quest to try and get games on Boxing Day, which I'm never doing again, by the way. That was the most horrible experience ever. So we go into the first place where I have to turn in my house coat, and it works out fine. There's no line or anything. I go straight to the till, hand it over, no problems, until the lady behind the till just hands me a gift card. And I'm very confused at this point because I was assured I would get cash for this. And I talked to her, I'm like, what is this? Why is this? Why am I not getting what I paid? I have the actual receipt. And she's like, no. See, all receipts just give you gift cards. But gift cards are fine because you can buy anything. It's as good as cash at this store. Someone had to explain to me what a gift card was. It was the most condescending thing ever. And it's like, I know what a gift card is. This is the only time I've stepped into the store in my almost 30 years of living. There's nothing here for me. I don't want a gift card. It was like this whole thing, and then my mom came over because she was the one who bought me the house coat, and then it turns out my aunt bought it on her behalf, and it was like this whole big thing, and she had to have what a gift card was explained to her as well, and we were there for about 40 minutes, but the short version is she took the gift card and she went and bought some cosmetics for it because she buys cosmetics there anyway, and she paid me back, which is nice. So after that 40-minute ordeal, she goes to the place she wants to go to. I try to go to GameStop, and it is crammed like a sardine can. I am not going in there. There's just no way. I can't physically fit in there. So I go back, I meet up with her, and then we go on our merry little way. However, there's another mall nearby. That's the first mall we went to get our used games from GameStop. And I remember they had a Walmart's, and I took a look at Walmart's ads, and it was ever so helpful to have stated, and I kept the ad. Let's see if we can keep this here. Assorted games. Nothing clearer than that, just assorted games and more assorted games. So I'm going there expecting that at least some game is going to be on sale, right? I mean, that would be the next logical step, one would think. So I go in there, and nothing is on sale. Nothing is marked on sale. I talked to the people behind it. Nothing there is on sale. So that's annoying. Bear in mind, my mom's waiting in the car outside the door of this place. So I kind of have to hurry. Like, there's some expectation that I'm going to be waiting in line for a little bit, but, I kind of have to hurry. But I remember there was that GameStop that was like 20 feet from the Walmart, so I ran to there just to see if any of the games I wanted were on sale. Because right now, there's like 4 big Switch games I wanted on sale, and a few B-list games just in case. Because if I'm doing this thing where my social anxiety is flaring up like crazy because people and loud noises, the two things Boxing Day are all about, are like the worst things for my anxiety, I'm getting games out of this. Like, that is, even if I can't afford it, I don't care. I've earned this at this point. So I go to GameStop, and there's one person in line in front of me, which is nice. And they had like this extra little deal going on, which was cool. So I talked to the lady at GameStop, and I started listing off games I want, and unfortunately they only had one of my A-list Switch games in stock. And it was about $30 off, so I was like, okay, I'll take that. So we got ourselves a brand new copy of Astral Chain. And that's really, really cool, because this was my second most wanted Switch game that I missed out on last year. So that's good. And because I spent X number of dollars or whatever, I got a free like quote unquote nerd culture, I hate that term, pair of socks, because I guess they're just getting rid of their inventory, so I got socks with the Joker on it. And that's good because I don't have enough socks. I've got big feet, and these look like big socks, so yeah, I got Astral Chain, some socks. Now, they did say that they had one of my B-list games in stock as well, but I'm of course more interested in the A-list stuff, so we're we're gonna pass on that and just run to the Best Buy that's also here. And, you know, I'm a little upset about those socks because the kid in front of me actually got All Might socks from My Hero Academia. I'm a huge fan of that, but I got Joker. I don't care about DC, but whatever. So I go to GameStop. I go to Best Buy, and they have my #1 most wanted Switch game in stock. I grab that, and I grab one of my B-list games because they don't have, well, they do have Luigi's Mansion, which was #3, but for some reason they were charging like $250 for it, and that's not a Switch bundle with Luigi's Mansion, that's the game itself. So for Boxing Day, they just cranked up the price to like 3 times the cost. I don't know. So I take them, and at this Best Buy, there is a till in the gaming area. You know, you would logically think that's where you go to buy games. So I take my games there, and there's 2 people in front of me in line, so it's not that bad. I go in, and the guy behind the counter says, "Oh, you're buying games. Well, we don't handle games here. You got to go to the other one on the other side of the mall that has 50 people in front of it." So I go there, and I wait, 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 and I wait. And I get to the front, and the lady who's waving people through on this line says, "Oh, you're buying games. Yeah, we don't handle games here. You got to go to the till in the games section. You know, that place where I already was and was told to come here." So I explained to the lady, it's like, "Well, the guy there said to come here. I just spent the entire time waiting. Can you just do something, please?" And she rolls her eyes, but she's like, okay, fine. So she pulls me out of line, super embarrassing, and I have to start waving people through. So I'm basically now a Best Buy employee, even though I don't get a discount or a paycheck. That's tremendous. And I'm sitting there waiting for about an hour. And then suddenly some guy comes back, not dressed like a Best Buy employee or anything, just some guy holding one of my games. And he's asking everyone around, trying to figure out what's going on. And, you know, I just overhear him saying, "I'm looking for someone with games." I'm like, "I'm looking for games." He shows me one. He's like, "Is this one you're looking for?" I'm like, "Yes." And he says, "Okay, we can't find the other one. We must have missorted it. Don't worry. We'll take this straight to the till. You'll wait right by the till, and we'll be back." So I wait, and I wait, and I wait another hour. So bear in mind, I'm waiting like 2.5 hours at this point to get this second game. And he comes back and then says, "Yeah, we don't have any. We have a giant display of 50 cases, and granted they're empty cases, but those discs must presumably be somewhere, but we don't have any copies of this available." So I got my #1 most wanted Switch game at full price. I was very pissed off because, again, I can't really afford it, but I was just so annoyed. I got Fire Emblem Three Houses. And this is a weird game, because one level in, they kind of make you decide which one of these, like, 3 groups of idiots you want to join. I went with the Black Eagles, just because. But what's weird is, like, they make a big deal about how different all these groups of people are, and they're all just spoiled rich kids. The only reason I went with the Black Eagles is because there was one of the characters there who just hated rich kids. And I was like, okay, you're at least kind of different. Fine, we'll go with you guys. So yeah, I'm pissed off. I only have 2 of my 3 games. I go back to GameStop, and I know that they have one of my B-list games, so I decide to go there and get it. And there's a bit of a line, but I wait, and I get the game I wanted, and I said, I'll take an extra pair of socks too. But, of course, because they are doing things by the 99 cents, even though they have to round up to the full dollar, because we don't have pennies anymore, so you're not saving anything, and that's misrepresentation, and I think someone should probably rewrite laws about that, but that's neither here nor there. I had to buy something else to get socks. But anyway, I got Borderlands 3. I'm not a big Borderlands guy. I think it's a game about multiplayer and memes, 2 things I don't care anything about. But my Switch controllers were out for repair, and I need to play something, and I got that. And then in order to qualify for socks, because like I mentioned a little while ago, they got little shitty Gundam candy toys. And look, you get the Gundam X, or the Zeta C+, or C1 Plus, or the Zeta, or the Hygog. Guess which one we get. They had 2 Hygogs. Now what's interesting is there's 2 versions of every kit as well, except that the Hygogs look basically identical, except one has its hands out slightly, and I really want a Gundam X, damn it. But, yeah, my camera's about to die real quick, so we'll be back in a second to finish off this story. Okay, hopefully this is the last recording. Anyway, yeah, so I knew they had a couple of these Hygogs sitting around because I went in a couple times asking if they had any more of these because I really want that Gundam X. I don't have enough Gundam X in my life. But they had this, and I kind of knew they probably wouldn't have sold it, so in order to get the 1 penny that's not even recognized by any purchase ever, seeing as they round up to the nearest penny anyway, I had to pay 1 extra penny to get a pair of socks, so I did. And we got some Overwatch socks, because the alternative was like a Disney pretty princess socks. Anyway, we're gonna leave this here. I think we'll open that before it's done, but we're not quite done yet because we have a couple other things. We have one more Christmas present I forgot about. I got it kind of late. This is from my uncle. He's really good at handcrafting stuff, so he handcrafted me my own Stormtrooper, using colors I don't ever associate myself with, but it's a lady Stormtrooper, as denoted by the Barbie hair in the background, and it's equipped with a chainsword because he is really into Warhammer. And it says kill rebels on the side, which I think is adorable. This is pretty cool. I love stuff like that. Speaking of, my uncle is really into Warhammer. He's gotten into it really recently, and to try and support him, I decided to try and take a bit of an interest in his stuff as well. I'm not super interested, but I figured I'd give it a shot, and I bought myself a miniature. And I painted that up. I got this little pirate lady. I don't know how focused the focusing thing will focus. Let's see if we can focus slightly better than that. I guess not. Just a sign of how unfocused everything is. I can't focus. Anyway, I got this little pirate lady. She turned out pretty nice. And then I was helping my uncle out with something. And he bought a bunch of these, and then we went and painted some, so I got one as well. I got this little blue-haired elf lady that I don't think turned out half as well as my pirate, but she's nice. I don't think I enjoy painting miniatures really all that much. I just did it to see if I could get a little bit more skill in and try and work on my dexterity, which is why I started building Gundams in the first place. But unlike Gundams, I don't really enjoy this as much. It's kind of fun. It's a neat little challenge. I'm not sure I'll do it too often, but I got that other one for free, so why not? And that's basically it, but I'm curious about this Hygog, so we're gonna crack this guy open. Like I said, there's 2 different types of everything. You've got a Zeta with the giant long rifle I don't care much for, as well as the standard equipment. The A1 Zeta Plus, or the C1. C1 is far superior. It comes with the giant awesome radome gun, as well as Gundam X with that really weird shield gun thing, although it's missing the shield segment. Or the Gundam X with a sword, and then 2 Hygogs that look basically identical, although one I think is crouching a little bit and has his hands spread. Not that you can tell, because that's the Hygog's look. Now the Hygog is basically Zeon's greatest underwater suit. That's not saying much. Their suits were kind of underwater and crappy. Oh, I actually have to put this together. Well, I guess that's a thing I'm gonna have to do. Is there a piece of gum in here? These normally come with pieces of gum. I want a piece of gum. Doesn't look like it. Nope. I'm just gonna... Oh, this is actually like a proper mini model. Okay, interesting. Judging by the fact that the hands are sort of... these are the little claw guys right here. Seeing as they're straight, I'm guessing we've got this standard, non-spread out, slightly, marginally less threatening Hygog, but... I didn't realize this was going to be one of these things. I kind of figured it would just be you know, take the legs, slap them into the body, take the body, slap that into the head, which doesn't exist on the Hygog, and boom, you're done. But this is a model, so I guess this will be something I'll do on my time off, which is non-existent, but I'll try and find some time for it. Anyway, that is everything I got over the past, like, 4 months. Not a ton, but I saw some interesting stuff. I definitely am more interested in those books than... the games, for the most part anyway. Kind of sad I didn't get as many of the Switch games I really wanted to get, especially on that stupid fool errand of going out on Boxing Day, but what can you do? Pretty excited about Nanatsukaze no Shimamonogatari. I think that's probably our most exciting game, that or Fire Emblem, which I'm having a lot of fun with, but out of our retro games, definitely Village of Four Winds Fantasy, or whatever it is called. But I got a little bit of interesting stuff. Definitely gonna dig more into my weird Korean manga book, because that's really interesting, but not a ton comparatively to what we normally do, but I had some fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, follow the channel, subscribe to it, so that I happen to, you know, eventually get more popular and, you know, more people watch this. That's always certainly nice. If you want to support the show through the Patreon or PayPal, I certainly appreciate it because that means I can afford to do this stuff, and when money is tight as it is right now, that certainly helps and goes even further than you could ever possibly imagine. Even like $2 just means the world to me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and here's to the new year and more new loot, more new videos. Got tons of stuff coming out. I've actually said a couple of videos I've already put out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace out, Internet.